You have to answer for Santino, Carlo.
All right, welcome everyone again to another episode of Vinny Presents. And today I'm delighted to have with us a actor, producer, director, bon vivant, and culinary expert as well, too, Mr. Gianni Russo. Mr. Russo, how are you today?
Thank you, Vinny, for having me again. I appreciate it, my man.
It is a pleasure. And as I said, and I'm very grateful for your time. We have some interesting things to talk about. First and foremost, not just you, we have a nice event coming up shortly. Let's talk about Paisan Con, Johnny. Let's talk about how that all came about.
Well, I'm so happy about it because, as you know, in my business, fortunately, my show business, not my other business, I've gone to every con there was. Thriller con, this con, that con. Now we have our own con. And I love it because, our generation, our people are known for the con. We're the best. So now we got a Paisan con. I can't wait to do it. It's April.
We're hitting all the cons, and maybe we'll see some cons there. I should be there as well.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. There are probably some ex-cons too will be there.
Some ex-cons, sure.
No, but I'm so proud of these kids put this together. I was one of the first they had, approached months ago. And I said, thank God, finally. And they're really doing a hell of a job because I'm seeing it everywhere. I was just told today that ABC television is coming to cover it for the nightly news. So, obviously I'm very proud of being Italian and my name and everything else. I remember when I got my first acting part in The Godfather, I went to meet an agent and he said to me, one thing you got to do though, if you want me to handle you, you got to change your name. I said, I guess you're not handling me. He said,
Good for
you're
you.
too ethnic. You're too Italian. I said, I love being Italian. He wanted me to change my name like they did with Bernie Schwartz. That became Tony Curtis. Well, I can understand that. But Giannirusso, I'm Italian. What am I going to do? Forget about it. No, it's
Yeah, it's funny, man. There was a time where that was the thing, make it more English or more waspy sounding.
yeah. I mean, Rock Hudson, all those guys have different names. But I mean, again, I didn't be honest with you. I didn't know The Godfather would even be put out because every day Paramount was threatening to close it down. They hated Pacino. They wanted everybody. They even wanted Warren Beatty. I mean, how's he going to do that? They were looking for marquee value, but thank God Coppola stuck to his guns. He was ready to walk off because he saw Pacino in his first movie, Panic in Needle Park, and he knew it. And now we're all here. We are 52 years later. What Pacino did with that character, taking him from the innocent soldier, even the dialogue in My Wedding, Kay, that's not my business, my father's business. The transitions he made and the way he grew. The man's brilliant, obviously. And I'm happy to say he's my friend here, too.
It's an interesting point you bring up as far as, not knowing what it would become. And now that we look back in hindsight, sure, I mean, it's one of the classics, right? It's around the world, but at that time, it must have been an interesting thing. You guys probably wondering, hopefully it does okay.
Well, at that time I was working for Costello. Forget about how much money I had. I was 26 already. I bought a $3 million boat when I was 21, so I had a few dollars. I just wanted it for my ego. I figured everybody used to tell me, "Oh, you're a good-looking guy. You should be an actor." Then I had somebody read me the book because I don't know, most of the audience don't. I'm illiterate. I never went to school, and why I didn't? I got polio in '49, and they put me in Bellevue, and they let me out when I was 12. They wanted to put me in the third grade. I said, forget them, I'm done. So I started selling ballpoint pens on the street. They just came out. And a guy found me on the street. In fact, if you look behind me, my dining room sits 16 people. I got a 12-room apartment. Thanks to Mr. Costello. This is it. I walked in here when I was 13.
Thank you, Mr. Costello.
Hello. Hello. And I thank him every day in my prayers and everything else. I've been so blessed. No, but we were on the set and every day, Paramount suits were on the set and they didn't like this, they didn't like that. And I figured I could pull the plug any minute. And I was just having fun being in it. You know, I'm in a movie now. Wow. And look where we are now. Here we are 52 years talking about it. But
who would you say was somebody on the set that you really connected with, that you really enjoyed being with?
Marlon Brando, and it didn't turn out that way at first because during the rehearsals, great news for me, I've always been so lucky. When I got the call sheet, I didn't even know what a call sheet was. They gave me a call sheet and they said, we're going to have rehearsals next week up at Patsy's on 119th Street. Because I used to go up there almost every night with overnight loans. We used to give them loans, 10,000, 15,000, because they had big Zigging games up there. Yeah. So when they said they're going to go to Patsy's, I loved it. So now I show up at Patsy's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was never there in the afternoon. And everybody at the bar, it was like 100 years of good behavior was there. Tony Salerno, every fat Tony Salerno, who was the boss, the Paganos, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, and you know, everybody. And they said, what are you doing here so early? And they all looked like, did you call him? I said, no, I'm here for the rehearsal. This is what rehearsal? I said, for the Godfather. They said, get out of here, you're not an actor. I said, I got a big part. They couldn't believe me. And everybody I told up to that point said the same thing to me. You're not in that movie. Why I'm bringing it up, we go into the rehearsal and the whole cast is there. I've never been in a rehearsal. I don't know any protocol. And Coppola said, before we bring Marlon Brando into the room, I want all you thespians on the breaks, don't approach him, don't talk to him. And that's it. So I said, I don't care who this guy is. Marlon, I know who he is. I saw him on the waterfront, all that. And I'm wearing Brioni suits. You had to see these actors. They look like my gardener dressed better than them. They were all slobs. Even Diane Keaton came up with combat boots, her hair all over the place. We have a break in 45 minutes. Brando comes over to me. He says, you're a big TV actor. I said, no. He said, you got a big movie coming out. I said, no. He said, well, you're not on Broadway. I said, what's this, a quiz show? He said, well, I know you're not on Broadway. Who'd you study with? I said, study what? What are you talking about? And he called Coppola over. And I never broke down the script. I didn't even know what that was to break it down. He says, Francis, you got to rethink this character. This guy's not even an actor. Carlo marries my daughter, sets up my son, Sonny, gets him killed, gets my son, my younger son, Michael, involved in the family. I didn't want this. You got to rethink it. And I'm saying, wait a minute. This guy's trying to find me. So I didn't know the protocol. As I said, Francis, go over there a minute, just like that. And he went. Well, the whole room went quiet because they didn't know who I was in. Now they're saying, who is this guy? He just dismissed the director. So not only did I look at him or touch him, I mean, look, you know, I put my arm around him. I said, come with me a minute, because I knew the Zigging games were in the back. They weren't on now. And I didn't want to embarrass the guy. I walk him out of earshot so nobody can hear what I'm saying. And I get nose to nose with him. I said, let me just tell you something, Mr. Brando. Listen to me clear. If you get me fired today, I will suck on your heart right here. You will bleed out in front of me. He looked at me. He stepped back. He said, that was brilliant. He thought I was acting. I was ready to take out the guy. I could never go back to the neighborhood. Everybody thought I was lying to begin with. But then from that point on, we became best friends. That's why I say Marlon Brando was my only acting teacher, which he was. Frank Sinatra was my only singing teacher. How could you have two better coaches than that? And here we are.
That's, listen, that's something that, man, oh man, I mean, when I grew up in the early 80s and just, you know, in Philly, that was beyond the time where, before a time in the 60s and early 70s, before Atlantic City got their casinos, they used to come to Philly. And so Sinatra would come, they would sing a Palumbo's,
yeah.
Atlantic Casino. There was a ton of places in Philly.
I was with him most of the time he was there, because I met Sinatra and all those guys in the late 50s, early 60s. Nobody knew that because Costello wouldn't go anywhere. I was his eyes and ears. And when they wanted to get John Kennedy elected, I was running around with envelopes all over the country to get the unions and the mob to back him because Joe Kennedy and Frank Costello during Prohibition were partners. They made 30, 40 million then in the 30s. So he approached Costello to approach the mob and all the unions to get his son nominated because he knew a Catholic is not going to get nominated in the Democratic Party. And so Costello said to him, and what's in it for us if we do it? He said, if he gets in, the first duty, they will invade Cuba and give you your casinos back. Now it's a win-win. So now I'm on the road for 6, 7 months until he got nominated. Once he mentioned that to get the nomination in January, then I relaxed. But that's how I got to know Sinatra. So I'm going to the Latin Quarter. I met everybody. I met every mob boss in this country and Europe after that, because that's what I was doing. That's Costello's boy. Here's an envelope. Here's this. I didn't even know what was in them. But it gave me an entree to that world. And that's why, everybody thought I was a made guy. And, the Gambino family I knew all my life. And I'm writing a new book right now, Mafia Secrets. And the last sentence in the book is, I know you all thought I was made. Well, I was. By God.
Spoiler alert, but that was good. I like that.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'll tell you, here's something that you probably never spoke about in any of your interviews ever. I could be wrong, but here's something you probably never touch upon. Let's think for a moment of the alternate reality. What if JFK never was assassinated? What do you think the mob would be looking like in Cuba?
Well, I mean, if he wasn't assassinated, that means he went in and we got Cuba back. So the whole world would have been a different, Santo Travacante, Giannirusso, a lot of guys got whacked because of that. And Bobby, he didn't realize when he appointed his brother as Attorney General, Bobby hated what his brother represented, even what his father represented. He was a mama's boy. So he was going to rectify all that immediately. He went after the mob. And Joe Kennedy got called in a couple of times by major guys saying, well, you got to straighten this out now. And then 1 year went by, 2 years went by. They were creating poison powder for Castro's beard, blow up cigars. It was like amateur hour. This is the CIA.
Wow.
And then after 2.5 years, they told the old man, we're going to start killing your kids. Because they didn't like the idea that John promised them. See, all that world is on your word. Shook his hand, make me president, and I'll work with you. Because they already had presidents. They had Truman. They had presidents all along. And this guy, I love John F. Kennedy. I got to know John F. Kennedy. I was hanging out with John F. Kennedy every weekend almost in Vegas until he got nominated, because that's where they invited people. The Rat Pack was on stage. It was a great place to meet without bringing too much attention. So you could have politicians, you could have mob guys, everybody there. And again, I would just come back and report to Costello on Monday what went on. But, and here I am now, just living a dream.
Well, I have a theory. I spoke to another guest one time about this, and I got a theory about, you say, why did specifically Bobby Kennedy turn his back on the Italians? And some people may think, well, it was an ethnic thing. He had something against Italians. I think it was something different. I think it may be partially true, maybe, but I think it was more than that. I think it was, in my opinion, that he probably felt like these guys are going to keep breaking my chops, asking for favors, wanting this, wanting that. And they're going to start to control me. So, little by little, I'm going to get rid of them.
Well, that's a good theory, and that's your theory. But I'll give you a fact, not a theory. I was at Carlos Marcello's house in New Orleans. I got very close to Carlos. I liked the guy, and unbeknownst to the world, Tony Anastasia, Albert's brother, was my godfather at the confirmation. Now, Albert I mean, when Albert was assassinated, Tony ran the waterfront from New Orleans to Canada, and Marcello's had it from New Orleans up to Washington, the state of Washington. They ran the water, International Longshoremen's Union. So I knew these guys and they knew me indirectly. But, I was at his house at a barbecue on a Sunday and Bobby showed up and they arrested him and deported him in front of his grandchildren on a Sunday. He was just trying to show his power. Bobby wanted to show his power. I mean, now I can understand the difference in our age. This guy was nuts. They had to control him. And at that day, Marcello said, "You're a dead man." And when he said that, he called all the camera and press over. And he said, "You're threatening an attorney general?" He said, "I'm not threatening you. I'm going to kill you." He said it right at the camera.
Wow.
He was dead. They killed him.
Yeah, I mean, it's geez, it makes you wonder, this day and age, I don't think this generation could wrap their mind around the stuff that went on back in those days, man. But look, it was a different type of people back then.
These kids live in la la land. Forget about it. He understands one thing. I got 10 sons. I got 4 daughters. I got 10 grandsons. That's 24 kids I got. These kids don't know their ass from a hole in the ground today. They couldn't survive without calling or getting a paycheck or doing something. Hit the streets. I was just selling a lot of my car. I had like 40 cars. I don't even drive. So I was selling this one particular car. My son called me up. He said, "Dad, yeah, I'd really like that car." I said, "Great." He says, "Will you give it to me?" I said, "Give. I don't have a red suit and a white beard. Were you crazy? Get some money and buy it. You're going to sell me the car?" I said, "That's how I got it." They don't want to know nothing. They think they're entitled. They're entitled. I said, "What are you entitled to? I gave you an education. I gave you a roof over your head. I fed your mother, who I didn't even like, but here we are. Now get out there and do it." No, you're right. These kids couldn't handle what we went. And you're younger than I am. How old are you, Vinny?
I'm 44.
There you go. You have my age.
But
I'm 65.
Yeah, I grew up. My parents are from Italy and Calabria, so my father was old school. I learned how they learned in Ubaid. So I learned.
See,
that was how I was brought up. You don't want
to
to go to school, go to work.
That's right. No, it's smart. But it made you a better person. Think about it. Look, all these kids. I just got another message the other day from a friend of mine's son. He died on opioids. I knew that it was going to happen. These kids they got nowhere to go. Then they get depressed, or they break a leg. They get on these pills, and they're done. They're done. I hate to say.
You know what I learned, Johnny, by the way, not to cut you off. You know what I learned too, and thank God, like I'm a straight arrow. I don't do anything, but what I've learned is the drugs today are not the drugs of yesteryear, and everything's laced with something. So even if you're smoking marijuana, or you're taking pills, it's all got junk in it that's making you addicted. That fentanyl.
Oh no, that's all they're doing with it. They're very smart. I mean, it's in our schools. I mean, you got young kids getting it now. I had a family, very well-to-do family. He called me up crying. 3 of his kids in not preschool, before college, prep school, they were all hooked on drugs. He had to move. He had to move from an affluent neighborhood because somebody was selling these kids drugs. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, we could go on for hours talking about the negative.
Well, let's circle back to what we spoke about in the beginning, which was Paisan Con. Now, right. You're absolutely right. I remember when it first popped up on my Instagram screen, I seen that you were one of the very first, because they started putting the pictures up daily, and you were one of the first.
Yeah. No, and in fact, I spoke to them today because I'm helping them promote it. But this weekend they did a major thing I thought was very good. They put up an ad and they cut the tickets off. For Easter, they gave a half price. They said this. I mean, they can't believe how many people. They said, "Johnny, we're going to have 5,000 or 6,000 people a day."
Wow,
that's great. But it's Friday. It's Friday and Saturday, 13th and 14th of April. And it's going to be shows, food. It's just not meeting stars. They got singers, shows going on all the time. They got food going on. So it's a whole solo italiano. See, la vesta. Forget
Yeah.
about it.
Well, you know what's going to happen here. I can tell you right now, and I'm sure you already thought of this. This is going to be an amazing success, and then next year it's going to be even bigger because it'll start snowballing every year.
No, I'm already involved with one. They're going to do one in Boston. They're doing it all in the Italian communities. We're going to do 2 or 3 more this year before the winter.
Oh,
I
good,
think it's
good.
important. We should have it. Why not? How many
You know what I
feasts?
like?
How many feasts did you go to when you were a kid? Every
Oh, yeah. I
in
mean,
every church. Now you got nothing. They got to bring it back.
I'm starting to notice though a very good thing. It's a resurgence of the whole enthusiasm for being Italian and the cultural. Like I think people started to get away from it, and then they started to remember,
Yeah,
you know, no, 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 they dropped dead. Now nobody's around. Who's going to
that's right.
preserve it?
What I've done, I don't know if you noticed, I own Corleone Fine Italian Foods. I'm the spokesperson for it. You go online, your listeners go online. I'm in 73 countries. And all my stuff, all my tomatoes come from Calabria because Sicily is too small. I bought a 400 artesian wheat farm in Sicily. I got pasta called Corleone pasta now. You boil it, the water don't even get cloudy. It stays clear. So I got a whole
Nice.
new line of stuff coming out on CVS this year. I got the family pack because Jimmy Carr, Sonny was hot and spicy. So that's my arrabbiato sauce. I got Fredo's Alfredo sauce. I got Connie and Carlo's wedding soup in a jar. I mean,
I like the Clemenza. The Clemenza is good.
oh, the Clemenza is great. Meat sauce, perfect.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. But what I'm encouraging, because of this, like we're doing this on Zoom, I'm encouraging dinner parties on Sunday. Bring the family back together, buy whatever sauce and stuff, and then I'll come and talk to you for 10 minutes on Zoom.
That's a great idea. Listen, and here's the deal with that. My wife says it all the time, and it's true. There's studies that show that people that have Sunday to get dinner together with the family, at least Sunday, but at least once a week.
Sunday, one day a week. We
Yeah.
know it's hard. No, it's
But
good.
it does show that kids turn out better that way.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think this, when kids start crying and all that, and I've seen every age group there could be. I used to tell even their mothers, you know why he's doing that or she's doing that? I said, I know why. He wants attention.
Huh.
They want attention. They want 2 parents home at one time. They don't have it no more. I mean, I understand they got to work, they got to do this, they got to do that. But like you're saying, if they just took one day and gave them back a little culture, a little discipline, they're gonna love it. They're gonna love it.
Make up a little bit of tripe. Everybody eats.
Well, I don't know what tripe is. I won't eat it. It's all guts. It's we had to eat it because it was like we ate peasant food.
The house, the smell, the aroma in the house.
Oh, muddled around. Forget about it.
Well, you speak of your brand, which I'm a fan of. You know that already, but the fans may not know out there, or the guests, I should say. But I want to tell you, I sleep under my bed with something very important under my pillow, as a matter of fact. All right, here it is.
Oh, muddled around. I love it. Jenko olive oil. Nobody realized to get that label. I bought it from another guy who got it. He didn't know what he was doing with it. I paid for it. That's all over the world now. And this new oil is, most people don't know this. It's first press. It's the best pure olive oil, no blend, all from Sicily, certified from the Sicilian government. Because now they buy a little of this oil and they blend it with everything else. But that oil is amazing. You like it?
Oh, I love it. Oh, no, listen, honestly, I use it for everything. I love it just with a little bit of bread, some kosher salt, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, make it like a little mix, just like that. And it's amazing just in itself.
I drink 2 shots of that every morning.
Yeah, I know people that used to do that. Yeah, they used to drink. You're right.
Do it. Everybody keeps saying my skin is. I'm 81 years old. Forget about it.
You look better than me.
No.
Well, Johnny, listen, you've been generous with your time. I want you to go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
Just go to Real Gianni Russo. Go online. I'm happy to say, and I thank all my audience. I just hit 5 million views this month.
Wow.
5 million. I got 60,000 daily followers, and I'm all over the world now. So just go to Real Gianni Russo, one word, write me letters, or go to our podcast, Hollywood Godfather Podcast, send letters and requests. We put a new show up every Wednesday. I got 300 something hours up already. So, no, but thank you for your time, Vinny. I really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. Yeah, they can definitely find you if they're looking, but it will be in the description box. So make sure you look at the description box. If you will be so kind, please subscribe to my channel. But most of all, go try the olive oil. Go try all these products. Again, Corleone Fine Foods, correct? And we can find that on Instagram too, right?
Yep.
All right, we'll check you out, Johnny. And we're looking forward to seeing you at Paisan Con and all the many adventures.
Are you going to come over?
I want to be there.
Yeah, it's right.
Hopefully, I have to part the Red Sea like Moses. There's going to be so many people there, but I'll find you.
Just call me when you're outside. I'll come and get you.
All right, that's a deal. All Johnny, right. Thank you, brother. You have a great one.
Please, you too. Thank you.
Take care.